Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm Saga aka Segen, and in this video we're going to make graphic together. For the month of March with one of the most beautiful aesthetics in my opinion. The theme is, drumroll, cottagecore. I felt the aesthetic of cottagecore very closely in 2019 during my 3 weeks interrail trip to the UK with my girlfriends, and more specifically in the Haters Age. If you've never visited those areas, I highly recommend you do. I remember that everything from the city to the countryside had an extremely charming small town atmosphere and rural feel. My traveling companions and I followed a path without knowing where it would take us. And years later, I must say that we were far-sighted enough to take some snacks away from breakfast. It was a crazy adventure, really. We didn't find any rest stops or alternative routes back to town, but luckily we could eat the blackberries that were on the bushes along the way. In short, we were completely immersed in nature and lost. Maybe I'll put up some clips to give you an idea and allow you to fully immerse yourself in the cottagecore atmosphere. This month I decided to take up the collage technique, which is particularly suitable if you are short on time but don't want to give up the fun and creativity that the creation of the bullet journal graphics reserve. I use it quite often and I really like it. I actually reserved the first page for an illustration or mood board that serves as a front door. I didn't want to plan anything apart from the graphics basics, but left it to chance and inspiration of the moment. So you see how I actually tried to choose the images and then place them wherever I felt was right for them. For those of you who still don't know, cottagecore is an aesthetic that was born on the internet around 2010. It represents an aesthetic of rural living, away from the stress of city life, a return to the basics where manual and do-it-yourself skills such as cooking, gardening, knitting, etc. are valued. There are further stylistic movements similar to cottagecore that partially share its aesthetics or values. One of these is Fairycore or Fairycore. Compared to cottagecore, it has a slightly more fairy-like vibe, favoring pastel colors, flowers, fluffy animals such as bunnies, spring, butterfly, etc. You will notice later on how this month has fairycore trends. Grandmacore, on the other hand, takes up the aesthetic of the classic grandmother's country house, farmcore, the farm-related variant, goth cottagecore, a romantic and moody branch, and lastly, goblincore, which celebrate aspects of nature that are considered the less beautiful, such as frogs, snails, moss, mushrooms, etc. All of which I tend to draw. Follow me on Instagram. I love forests and fantasy, so this branch of cottagecore is very inspiring. To make the day numbers, I use my own stamps, and each time I'm glad I bought them. On the double calendar page, I tried not to use black markers to trace the grid because I felt they would be too aggressive, while the cottagecore favors pastels, colors, and softness. For the same reason, I used a light blue marker for the March lettering. And here we are on the habits page. Of course, jam jars are one of the things I most associate with cottagecore, so I made several jars, put the numbers on them and the names of the habits on stickers and cards. If you haven't done it yet, subscribe to my YouTube channel to stay updated to all my future bullet journal publications and, who knows, vlogs. Next week I'll be in Bologna for the Bologna Children's Book Fair and would love to share this experience with you. Write down below in the comments if you are interested and have any curiosities so we can talk about it in a new video. That said, back to the cottagecore. The wrapping paper is another element that can be useful when approaching themes closer to nature. On the opposite page, I have represented the spring to-do list. I recommend it if you want to fully experience the season. This time, I've moved all the activities towards the center so as to leave space at the sides for some colorful details. Towards the end, as the page seemed a bit empty, I added a few details here and there, such as a soft bunny, butterflies, blueberries, a muffin and some flowers. Now it is definitely more colorful and lively. The heart of a cottagecore house is often the kitchen, which tends to be untidy, where homemade dishes are prepared and the smell of fresh bread can be smelled, and fruits and vegetables from one's own garden are important ingredients. To divide the pages, I used one of my most spring-like washi tapes, while I stamped the numbers on the various days on small circles of wrapping paper. From February, I started dividing the various weeks with small graphics, in this case, small collage. The cottagecore is an ideal. It creates a sense of warmth when you think how nice it might be to have a simpler, more bucolic experience. This is a quote from Quirky Pickery. I hope the pronunciation is right. And I find it particularly appropriate. I've discovered that the attraction to the cottagecore is not new. In fact, it dates back to the 18th century, when European aristocrats built ornamental farms on their country estates to experience the thrill of pastoral life. Although in reality it was the servants who took care of the farms, while the aristocrats played at being farmers. A reference to Pride and Prejudice just couldn't be missed. It's one of my favorite books. Any Austen fans below in the comments? For now, I'll tell you that I'm going to catch up on Emma and Sense and Sensibility from the Timeless Stories collection. Have a look, I think that they are the most beautiful editions and best fit the stories they represent. Cottagecore is not only a way of life, but a true artistic movement that we find in fashion and home decoration. Examples include wildflowers, doilies, floral wallpaper, vintage or DIY furniture, gem jars, candles, vintage books, homemade cakes, and much more. It's an anti-fast fashion style par excellence, favoring handmade and made-to-measure garments that tell a story. And here's the final flip through of this month's spread. I hope you enjoyed this video and I can't wait to see what you think in the comments. If you made this far, please click the thumbs up button, subscribe to my channel to keep up to date with future videos, follow me on Instagram on Art and leave a comment down below with the pink flower emoji. Have a nice day and see you in the next video. Bye!